Right, so previously on this channel, we have spoke about many companies that have completely ruined their reputation by making a very silly mistake. Some cases obviously more extreme than others, but we have spoke about many situations where companies have made a decision that has caused a lot of backlash. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about a situation that fits that mold. It is fairly different. I'm not sure we've ever spoke about video game, drama, if you want to call it that before, but that is what we're talking about today. And this situation in particular interested me a lot more, and I'll explain why in just a second, but let me add some context to this. So there's a couple of games you need to be aware of here, right? The first one being Drug Dealer Simulator, which was released in 2020, which was then followed by Drug Dealer Simulator 2, which was released in 2024. And the other game you need to be aware of is Schedule 1. Now, to add some context to these games, in case you've never heard of them before, I mean, Drug Dealer Simulator does what it says, right? It's like a simulation game where you are a drug dealer. And Schedule 1 is similar in the sense that it is a game about also being a drug dealer. Now, of course, there's been a countless amount of massive games previously where you do something that would be illegal in the real world. Grand Theft Auto is like the biggest example I can think of. And both of the games we're speaking about today have been successful in their own right. One definitely more successful than the other, right? So if we start with Drug Dealer Simulator 2 being their most popular game, or at least had their highest all-time peak. As we can see here on Steam database, says their all-time peak was 9,126 players playing at one point. Now when we look at Schedule 1's numbers, they're definitely a lot higher. I mean, their all-time peak is 459,000 players playing at once. This game is massive right now, and the reason why this was interesting to me in particular is because my girlfriend Emily and I have been playing this game quite a lot. We literally have another channel where we play through it. Here's a clip.
You look like a corpse. Why are you green?
I've got to say, I'm loving the hair colour.
I love how we both went for the topless option.
Yeah, I don't know what that says about us, but...
And the jork combo.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a bunch of videos on that channel if you want to go and look at them. It's always linked in the description. But either way, sticking with the topic at hand here, we have been enjoying the game a lot, right? It's a really fun game. And when you actually look at the side-by-side comparisons of Schedule 1 and Drug Dealer Simulator, even though, of course, the main part of the game being drug dealing, very similar, but the actual games themselves, to me at least, are very different. I mean, if we just look at some footage here, this is a video uploaded by T. Martin. It was uploaded 9 months ago, playing through Drug Dealer Simulator 2, and we can actually see kind of what the game looks like. So we can see the graphics wise, it's kind of based more in realism, especially when we compare it to Schedule 1 in just a second. But yeah, it's not exactly overly cartoony. Obviously, you can tell it's a video game, right? I'm not saying it's completely realistic, but in comparison, it definitely looks a lot more realistic. The style is clearly going for that. I mean, we can also see some of the characters here, right? So he's walking up here, and we can kind of get a gist of what the characters look like in the game. Obviously, this isn't everything, right? I'm not saying because the games look different doesn't mean that it can't be copied, but you can just tell by looking at the games that stylistically, they look very different. Whereas on Schedule 1, they have definitely took a more cartoony approach, and there's a lot of comedy in the game as well. For example, here's a clip, right? Where someone has smoked a substance, and it turns them into an alien. Definitely a very different vibe compared to what we just watched. Now, like I said before, there's parts of the games that are similar, right? They've went down the same route of this drug dealing game, but that is no different to the many racing games that are out there, or sports games, football games, basketball games, whatever it is, right? A lot of games look very similar. So you might be wondering, why is this one in particular caused such a big situation that's resulted in a bunch of backlash? And we're about to get into that now. So Drug Dealer Simulator has been published by a company called MARKIE Games. This is their website right here. As we can see, it's Drug Dealer Simulator 2 is out now. If we look at their about page, it says, we invest in people who love to make games. It couldn't be simpler than that. For developers, MARKIE Games invest in people who love to make games. If you're a game developer, show us your project today. Now, the main reason I want to make this distinction is because from what I can tell here, it's not the developers of Drug Dealer Simulator, the people who actually made the game, that are causing this. It's the publishers, MARKIE Games. They're a Polish game publisher from what I can tell. We can actually see on market screener here that their net sales, apparently, I don't know how accurate these numbers are by any means, right? So take with a pinch of salt, but apparently in 2023 their net sales were about 4.5 million. It did say the net income was in the minuses, though. Again, these numbers could be so wrong, so again, take it with a pinch of salt. And the only reason I'm really showing that is to compare it to the fact that Schedule 1 was made by Tyler. I'm sure there is more people involved for different aspects. I'm sure he might have had help, maybe he didn't, who knows, but for the most part, from everything I'm seeing here, Tyler is the main person behind this game. And if you've seen any of my previous videos, you can probably tell where this is going, because when a big company tries doing something and then finds out that an influencer or a smaller team or whatever it is has managed to do it but better, they usually try to take action. So here's an article article on Insider Gaming that says, Schedule 1 being investigated for IP copyright infringement claims. Nothing brings momentum to a screeching halt quicker than legal action. This is the prospect Schedule 1 is facing as it's deemed too similar to Movie Games' Drug Dealer Simulator 1 and 2 franchise, prompting a full investigation into the game. Everything was going great, but on April 3rd, publisher Movie Games demanded an investigation into TVGS's Schedule 1. Evidence on the investigation surfaced on the website Business. I believe it's a Polish website. I did try having a look on there, but like I said, I believe it's a Polish website, and I can't read it. Featuring a document entitled Movie Games SA 17-2025 Decision to Commence Investigation Against the Creators of Schedule 1 Production for Claims Regarding the Infringement of the Issuer's IP and related to committing an act of unfair competition against it. Now, it is important to note here, from everything I can tell, there isn't exactly like a lawsuit that has been published at this point, right? It's an investigation into the game to see if they have a case, I guess. And we do actually have a response from Movie Games in a bit, and we also get to see like the backlash that this has caused. But yeah, I do think that's important to note. The article goes on further to say that the legal document mentions potential infringements of the issuer's intellectual property rights and activities that may bear the characteristics of unfair competition have been identified. Schedule 1 is too similar to the Drug Dealer Simulator series, similar to Nintendo's lawsuit with Palworld, so it's compared it to that. The investigation is strongly looking into elements of the game's plot, mechanics, as well as UI user interface. It finishes by saying the user will immediately inform about further actions related to the pursuit of claims regarding the infringement of the issuer's IP and the act of unfair competition in subsequent current reports. And for me personally, obviously, I'm not a lawyer, right? I just don't see how this would ever have any legs to stand on. Again, if you want to point out the obvious, they are both games that are surrounding the same thing in terms of drug dealing, right? But the actual look of the game, different aspects of the game, the way the game actually plays just feel completely different to me. And to me, if this did result in like legal action against Schedule 1 and Tyler, that just sets an awful precedent of what is like allowed here, right? Because again, we have so many games that are so similar. Like the amount of racing games that we have where if you play them, you can see the differences, but at the end of the day, just like this, they're all racing games. Now, when the news broke about this, people wasted no time in going to the game's page on Steam and leaving a bunch of negative reviews. I liked the game up until I became greedy and jealous that a solo game developer who created a game 10 times greater than theirs is so successful. I have a lot of respect for the person who's currently working on updating Schedule 1. If anyone is reading this thinking of buying DDS1, trust me, buy Schedule 1 instead. Schedule 1 is what DDS should have been, and it's only early access. They are just salty their game is trash, LMAO, L publishers. Not a cool move to sue an indie game developer for making a game with similar mechanics just because it is more popular and therefore more successful. You are not the one who invented these kind of mechanics. Any developer is able to use it for their game. Make a better game instead. Put in more work into DDS2 and fix the bugs, add features the community is asking for. And becoming a disliked by potential buyers isn't helping your cause. Yeah, so when he's talking about like the similar mechanics, like a lot of these like simulation games do have like very similar mechanics. You'll see like a lot of the UIs look like fairly similar as well. There's obviously like key differences as well, right? It's not just the same game over and over again, but you will notice that a lot of these games do have similar mechanics. I think one of the multiple bad things that came out of this is, like I said before, it's not the developers of Drug Dealer Simulator that are doing this from what I can understand. It's specifically the publishers from effing that I'm seeing here, right? So this game is being absolutely review bombed to pieces because of what the publishers have done. It is a bit shitty still on the developers who made the game, who, from what I can tell, have nothing to do with this. But again, if this did go to a lawsuit and Movie Games end up like trying to sue Tyler for creating this game, that would be beyond shitty. But like I said before, Movie Games have responded. There's this article on The Gamer that says, Drug Dealer Simulator publisher has no ill will towards Schedule 1 team amidst copyright dispute. And we do have some quotes here from their response, right? So it says, there is no lawsuit. It is not our intention to prevent DVGS from selling or developing their game, a representative of Movie Games told The Gamer, explaining that action will only be taken if infringement is found. There is an investigation into the nature of the similarities between the games, since a preliminary legal analysis indicated there might have been an infringement. The representative continues. The analysis and investigation were necessary in the light of repeating opinions that the games are very similar. By not investigating it, Movie Games, being a publicly traded company, could face severe consequences for negligence. So basically their response to this is that they have no intentions of suing, of course, and they're just looking into it to see if there is a problem. Which could be true, right? I would be interested to know how this document actually like leaked, I guess, or was posted on this like Polish article. I wonder how that document even got out in the first place. And I get what they're saying in terms of like they need to look into it, but I think honestly taking like a very small look into it becomes very obvious like very quickly that it wouldn't be a good idea, first of all, right? Because of the public reaction is always going to be negative towards movie games in a situation. But also, like, the games clearly have their big differences. There is no ill will towards TVGS. We even emailed them best wishes shortly before the release when the game was already huge, but before the investigation was deemed necessary. However, we are obligated to perform this investigation. Movie Game stresses that Drug Dealer Simulator's developer, Byte Runners, did not launch the investigation and has no involvement in it. That's what I was trying to say earlier, right? It's not the developers that have, again, no involvement, as they're saying here. So I actually do really feel sorry for them, because their game that they developed is getting absolutely battered on Steam right now. I think after seeing this reaction, I would be very surprised if this did actually go any further and they did try and sue Tyler or TVGS, but who knows, right? Crazier things have happened. But it really is another example of how quickly these companies can ruin their reputation massively, and again, it might have been something that they didn't even want out in the public yet, and somehow this document is leaked or it's been posted somewhere, and now it's caused this massive situation. But with all that being said, I would love to know your opinions in the comment section down below on everything that we spoke about in today's video. Do you feel like this is going to go any further? Do you not? Just any thoughts of what we spoke about, and yeah, I'm going to leave the video there. So if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff. Of course, we have the other channel that I mentioned earlier where Emily and I, we react to reality shows that got uploaded, like another episode that got uploaded just like a day ago. We play games as well, like this, for example, was Schedule 1, and we just try and have fun on there. So if you are interested in that, that's always linked in the description. And yeah, until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, goodbye.